Letters from parents often complain of a sense of futility in trying to argue with their own children, who have been fed a steady diet of the politically correct vision of the world from elementary school to the university. Some ask for suggestions of particular books that might make a dent in the know-it-all attitude of some young people who have heard only one side of the story in classrooms all their lives. That is one way of going about trying to deprogram young people. There are, for example, some good books showing what is wrong with the global warming crusades, or showing why male-female differences in income or occupations are not automatically discrimination. Various authors have written a lot of good books that demolish what is currently believed and taught to students on a wide range of issues. Some of those books are listed as suggested readings on my website, www.tsowell.com. Yet, trying to undo the propaganda that passes for education at too many schools and colleges, one issue at a time, may not always be the best strategy. There are too many issues on which the politically correct party line is considered to be the only way to look at things. Given the wide range of issues on which students are indoctrinated instead of being educated, trying to undo all of that would require a whole shelf full of books, and somehow getting the students to read them all. Another approach might be to respond to the dogmatic certainty of some young person, perhaps your own offspring, by asking, "Have you ever read a single book on the other side of that issue?" Chances are, after years of being educated, even at some of the highest-priced schools and colleges, they have not.
Stopping it there, okay, Thomas Sowell being based in Speeding Facts once again. I think the problem with the book example is, who reads books anymore? Like, seriously, libraries and bookstores are closing down at an alarming rate, so people don't really read anymore, and if they do, it's like off an electronic device. And I'm glad he pointed out that this sort of brainwashing narrative isn't just in universities anymore. It goes all the way down to elementary schools. But I know for sure, and especially in universities, even when students are given a task to write a paper about a certain social issue like feminism, or like the wage gap, or like patriarchy, or like misogyny, or like slavery, or like any other cultural events that's happened on this planet, they are directed specifically to certain types of books. They're not even allowed to reference other books to make an argument or write an essay. There was an example of a girl, I can't remember her name, but she was a YouTuber, and she talked about how she was told to write an essay or a paper on feminism, and if it was still like a big thing in the West, there was still a big problem, and she actually quoted some books to make her argument, and I think her argument kind of came out neutral, and it wasn't as progressive or leftist enough for this particular professor. So the professor actually told her that she had to go back and rewrite the essay, and she wasn't allowed to read certain books or certain articles because they were written by people that are part of the patriarchy, or brainwashed, or have internalized patriarchy or misogyny, so their literature is just wrong, right? And she actually gave her specific books that she had to use to write her essay and to make her argument, and she literally highlighted certain pages and paragraphs to get her answers from. So she wasn't allowing a university student, someone that is supposed to be at the time of their life, to expand their mentality, to look at the other side, to develop their own mindset, to learn how to be critical thinkers and develop their own argument. She was telling her, no, you have to only listen to these specific people when they wrote this specific thing, because everyone else, you can't even look at the other side. Why do you think every time someone that is right of crazy or right of progressive goes to these universities and these protests to try to talk to the students, even if there's one student that's brave enough to break away from their pack to speak to the person that they're trying to have a debate with, the other students would go grab that person and bring them back into the tribe and say, no, you cannot speak to this person. But for the most part, they don't even reach out to the other side to have a conversation, because they're so close-minded and they're so brainwashed into this cult-like mentality that the idea of them actually picking up a book from an author that's, arguing the opposite of their ideology, good luck with that. Another thing that a lot of university students are actually taught to do is, and this is not even just like feminism or gender studies, this is just a lot of liberal arts classes in general. It's like they will get tasked to go see a movie or see a play or a musical or read a book, but not to read a book with an open mind and come to your own conclusion on what this message or the book was trying to say. It's you go read this book, you go watch this movie, you go look at this play through the lens of trying to find the misogyny, try to find the patriarchy, try to find the oppression. You're going in it with already a lens of this is wrong and I need to dismantle it. You know what I mean? So it's like they're not even being able to develop their own perception or perspective to look at the world. They're giving lenses that's already dictating what they should see. So it's just maddening. I fortunately dropped out of university 3 different times. Anywho, I've been talking long enough. I just wanted to make that very clear that Dr. Sowell or Thomas Sowell is completely and utterly right about this. But let's continue.
They have not. When the inevitable answer to your question is no, you can simply point out how illogical it is to be so certain about anything when you have heard only one side of the story, no matter how often you have heard that one side repeated. Would it make sense for a jury to reach a verdict after having heard only the prosecution's case or only the defense attorney's case, but not both? There is no need to argue the specifics of the particular issue that has come up. You can tell your overconfident young student that you will be happy to discuss that particular issue after he or she has taken the elementary step of reading something by somebody on the other side. Elementary as it may seem that we should hear both sides of an issue before making up our minds, that is seldom what happens on politically correct issues today in our schools and colleges. The biggest argument of the left is that there is no argument, whether the issue is global warming, open space laws, or whatever. Some students may even imagine that they have already heard the other side because their teachers may have given them their version of other people's arguments or motives. But a jury would never be impressed by having the prosecution tell them what the defendant's defense is. They would want to hear the defense attorney present that case. Yet most students who have read and heard repeatedly about the catastrophes awaiting us unless we try to stop global warming have never read a book, an article, or even a single word by any of the hundreds of climate scientists in countries around the world who have expressed opposition to that view. These students may have been shown Al Gore's movie An Inconvenient Truth in school, but are very unlikely to have been shown the British Channel 4 television special, The Great Global Warming Swindle. Even if we assume, for the sake of argument, that students are being indoctrinated with the correct conclusions on current issues, that would still be irrelevant educationally. Hearing only one side does nothing to equip students with the experience to know how to sort out opposing sides of other issues they will have to confront in the future, after they have left school and need to reach their own conclusions on the issues arising later. Yet they are the jury that will ultimately decide the fate of this nation.
There are a lot of progressives and leftists that would be completely fine with the jury only hearing one side of the story because #BelieveAllWomen. And I like how he pointed out is that a lot of people think they know the other side argument because they were told by their side or what the other side's argument is. And it usually sums up to they're just racist, phobic, misogynist, patriarchal pigs or something like that, right? And this is why progressives and leftists, and I'm very clear when I say progressives and leftists, I don't mean moderates, I don't mean classical liberals, I don't mean just your regular schmegular Democrat. You know who I'm talking about, you know who you are. That's why they have this cartoonish sort of caricature of what a Republican or a conservative is. They actually don't really know what their mindsets are or what their arguments are or what their perceptions are or perspectives are, because they again don't ever take the time to actually speak to anyone on the other side. They come up with this sort of stereotype from each other in their echo chambers and their professors. That's why people are so convinced that anyone who classifies themselves as a conservative or Republican is automatically a raging racist or homophobe, because that is just what they've been told, and they've never been curious enough to find out for themselves. And even the prospect of trying to find out for themselves might actually mean they might be kicked out of their own woke tribes. It scares them enough to not even want to be curious about what's going on the other side of the aisle. Being closed-minded and being locked into an echo chamber is really not just a leftist thing. It's not a progressive thing. I feel like, and he mentioned this before, it's like even if the liberal progressive ideas are right, not equipping them with the tools to know how to debate or have an actual adult argument instead of just screeching on top of your lungs like a toddler, is still a really good tool to have as an adult, you know what I mean? To be able to actually conversate about your ideas in a rational manner, right? And the reason why you see more conservatives or Republicans being able to have articulate, rational debates about their ideas is because they're just used to having to defend their ideas. Progressive and liberal ideology has been able to run amok for generations and decades now without much pushback. So they haven't really had to debate their ideas. So when they do come across someone who questions them, they usually short circuit and break down because they don't actually know why they believe what they believe in, instead of just having protest sort of slogans like my body, my choice, without actually really breaking down and understanding what they actually believe in. However, again, being closed-minded, being locked in echo chambers is still not a progressive or a liberal thing. I think a lot of people find themselves in that way, including conservatives and Republicans and a lot of like really religious people. You see a lot of really religious church folks kind of stay in their church bubbles, Christian, Muslim, it doesn't really matter. A lot of conservatives stay with their conservative communities. It's just kind of the human nature to drift and separate and segregate into people that are like-minded as you. I feel like for me, I have like a kind of an interesting POV because like I didn't grow up in a really religious family, even though I was born Muslim, a Nation of Islam, but like my mom wasn't really that religious. Like I am liberal by nature. Like my personality is very liberal. Like I travel as a lifestyle. I don't live a conservative lifestyle and I never want to. Actually, it doesn't fancy me whatsoever. You know, I'm a hippie, I smoke weed, I do shrooms and microdose. I like gay pride, I like drag. However, I just don't think any of those things are appropriate for children. My critical thinking skills and me being able to sort of separate myself from the things that I like in the communities that I involve myself as an individual and not just sort of agree to whatever my individual group says, because I just don't do that. I like to break things down, analyze it, and come up with my own perspectives. And because of that, I've developed, I guess, some sort of belief systems or perceptions or perspectives that lean right or is considered conservative, but I'm not a conservative. But because I have sort of this background in very progressive and liberal communities, and I also was adopted into a very religious family, I was part of the church for a while myself, I was a youth leader and all those things, I'm like kind of a mosh posh of different backgrounds and different experiences, so I can kind of understand like all sides of the coin. I've never locked myself into an echo chamber and never want to and never wish to. That's why I actually do like diversity. I think being just one way is really fucking boring. But hey, to each your own. But I think because of that reason, I can kind of get along with everybody, and I understand everyone's point of view at the end of the day. And I just encourage other people to do the same. Like, don't lock yourself into echo chambers. That's why people get mad even at my channel, like, because I know I have a lot of conservatives who follow me. I don't, lockstep say exactly what the conservatives want me to say or whatever. Like, people have even told me not to say, don't say color, don't say people of color, liberals say that, and you have color hair, and I wasn't expect you to talk like this because you have tattoos and piercings. It's like, what like reality you live in where everyone's like a fucking drone of each other? You were conservative and you just pop out looking like this, like a uniform, like there's a uniform to be a conservative and there's a uniform to be like, it's so stupid. Anyway, I'm never gonna be like that, and I do encourage people to get out of their bubbles and actually challenge their own belief system, because you might be like surprised. But anyway, that's about it. That was Thomas Sowell. Love him to death. I'm glad that he is around. I'm glad that we have his knowledge to pull on. And you guys tell me what you think. in the comment section below. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit that bell to get notifications when I do upload. All of that really does help with the algorithm, guys. And if you'd like to support this channel any further, you can donate. My PayPal and Cash App link is in the description box below and also in the comment section. Of course it helps, but you don't have to. You can just like, comment, and subscribe. Another great way to support this channel is visit my brand new merch shop. Links down below and links to all of my alternative platforms, my socials, including my Twitter. All the ways to support me and all the ways to contact me for business is always in the links down below. I also have my other two channels, my travel channel, my other channel, Speak Freely. I'm not really sure what channel this video is going on, so just links down below. Other than that, guys, you have an amazing day. Bye.